Welcome to this Good Friday service full of music and reading and telling the stories of Jesus and our world. We are three communities gathered together here today, and I'm always cognizant that we have our seats, so if somebody was sitting in your seat, you've been kind, I'm sure. But it is good to worship together, especially on this holy night. And we share this story that has such power and has so much to say for this time in the world, so we are grateful to do it together. I think everything that you need is on in a bulletin or on the screen, and so welcome to everyone. Welcome to those of you who are guests. I know we have some people on our Zoom screen that you may see throughout the night, so welcome to all of you. Tonight we hear the story of Jesus' tremendous suffering, humiliation, and death on the cross. Tonight we also name the reality of the suffering, oppression, and death that we have experienced in the last year. We hold our present-day human story of pain side by side with the story of the crucifixion of Jesus that has been told and retold for 2,000 years. And we do so, as we do so, we trust that Jesus has felt our pain, understands our suffering, and remains with us even into the depths of this human experience. So just to make a note that our service tonight contains real headlines and stories from recent months in the Twin Cities and around the world. And so those headlines reference war and violence and death. So we just want you to know that ahead of time, to just take care of your own heart, your own self, as challenging emotions may arise. So as you're able, let's stand and sing. A story of love begins with Jesus coming to this world. Yes, God so loved the world as to give the only begotten one. Gather around. I have a story to tell of one who reached inside himself and took a handful of love like a pile of stardust and said, "This is for you." It is all you need. It is all you will ever need. There is enough here to change the world. Take it. Many laughed at him, mocked him, and ignored the invitation. But some dared to take it, and those who did noticed something about this love. They found that they could do what the gift giver could do. They could stand with the lost, welcome the traveler, eat with the hungry. They found themselves doing what the man first did to them, give something of themselves to others. They became like the man, offering themselves, and as they offered themselves, others took the invitation, and many still do, and many still trust. It is enough to change the whole world.
Let us pray. O God, today we remember the love and sacrifice of Jesus and contemplate what it means to have faith in the midst of suffering, loss, and injustice. Even in this story of broken lives and broken hearts, we trust in your presence, your powers, and your way. We trust that in the midst of suffering, you are comfort. When we stray from the path on which you lead us, give us the grace that invites us back to your way. You, O God, are our hope. We wait for you. Amen.
Please be seated. From Isaiah, you were rejected and despised by all. You know suffering intimately. You are acquainted with sickness. When we saw you, we turned our faces away. We despised you and did not value you. Yet you bore our illnesses, you carried our suffering. We thought you were being punished, struck down by God, and brought low. But it was for our offenses that you were pierced, for our sins that you were crushed. Upon you lies a chastening that brings us wholeness, and through your wounds we are healed. All of us, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us goes our own way. But Yahweh has laid upon you the guilt of us all. Though treated harshly, you bore it humbly and never opened your mouth. Like a lamb being led to a slaughter or a sheep before the shears, you were silent and never opened your mouth.
That we to judge thee. Headlines: Children. In 2026, at home and across the world, Americans have witnessed devastating cruelty to children. Children have been disproportionate victims of violence, from school shootings to the many children orphaned as their immigrant parents were abducted by ICE, sending children home from school to empty houses. Children have suffered and died in ICE detention camps across the country, many of them sick and without appropriate medical care. Adults have chosen profit and vengeance over and over again instead of protection for children. Many of America's most powerful leaders have been implicated in the Epstein scandal, where powerful people preyed on children. August 29th, 2025, NPR News. 2 children were killed as they sat in pews. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner released their names Thursday evening: Fletcher Merkel, 8, and Harper Moisky, 10. Harper Moisky was an adored big sister and a deeply loved 10-year-old whose laughter, kindness, and spirit touched everyone who knew her, parents Michael Moisky and Jackie Flavin wrote in a statement. Our hearts are broken not only as parents, but also for Harper's sister, who adored her big sister and is grieving an unimaginable loss. As a family, we are shattered, and words cannot capture the depth of our pain, they wrote. January 21st, 2026, NPR News. The Columbia Heights Public School District says federal agents have detained 4 of its students in 4 separate incidents over the last 2 weeks. One child is a 5-year-old boy who attends a district elementary school and was used as bait to draw family members out of their home. February 9th, 2026, NPR News. Liam Ramos and his father were detained in front of their Columbia Heights home on January 20th. 2 days later, they were sent to a family detainment center in Dilley, Texas. They returned February 1st to Minnesota. In an interview with NPR News last week, Liam's father, Adrian Conejos Arias, said the family was in hiding. He cited a bomb threat at his son's former elementary school and ICE agents patrolling the Columbia Heights home they no longer live in. Conejo Arias said, "The truth is, he's not the same boy he was before. Ever since he went in there, he suffered psychological trauma, and he's very scared." March 18th, 2026, NPR News. Judge ends asylum claims for Liam Conejo Ramos and his family, orders family's removal. March 18th, February 16th, 2026. Hannah Webb, opinion editor for the Baylor Lariat. The Epstein files are here, 1 million horrifying emails, 180,000 incriminating images, 2,000 uncomfortable videos, and the silence is deafening. Maybe the strategy was never secrecy, but saturation. Flood the public with so much information that outrage fractures into fatigue. 3.5 million pages is not a revelation. It is an avalanche, and avalanches bury. But beneath the paper are children, girls and boys who were manipulated, trafficked, assaulted, and murdered. Children whose lives were permanently altered so that powerful men could indulge appetites they assumed would never cost them anything. The details are grotesque, and sanitizing them would only continue the pattern of protecting sensibilities over victims. March 11th, 2026, The New York Times. An ongoing military investigation has determined that the United States is responsible for a deadly Tomahawk missile strike on an Iranian elementary school, according to U.S. officials and others familiar with the preliminary findings. Striking a school full of children is sure to be recorded as one of the most devastating single military errors in recent decades. Iranian officials have said the death toll is at least 175 people, most of them children.
poem, Every Child Deserves Sun. Every child deserves the sun, to feel its warmth upon their skin, to run freely in the fields, where the earth remembers their name. Every child deserves a song, sung by ancestors in the wind, a heartbeat of the drum that tells them, you belong. Every child deserves the dance, feet wrapped in moccasins, moving in circles of tradition, their laughter echoing like rivers that never end. Every child deserves love. Arms that hold, voices that soothe, a place where tears are healed and dreams are given wings. For they are the fire yet to rise, the guardians yet to grow, the blossoms of tomorrow's meadow. And every child matters, every single one.
Into our human pain, Jesus comes with a wondrous kind of love. In human skin, Jesus suffered. He grieved, he was betrayed, and he died. In Jesus' experience of human suffering, pain, and death, he shows us the depths of God's wondrous love.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul. What wondrous love is this, O my soul. What wondrous love is this that calls the one of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, to bear the dreadful curse for my soul.
A story of denial and betrayal. A reading from the Gospel of John. Having said this, Jesus became troubled in spirit and said, "The truth of the matter is, one of you will betray me." The disciples looked at each other, puzzled as to whom he could mean. One of them, the disciple whom Jesus loved, was next to Jesus. Simon Peter signaled him to ask Jesus whom he meant. He leaned back against Jesus' chest and asked, "Rabbi, who is it?" Jesus answered, "The one who I give the piece of bread I dip in the dish." He dipped the piece of bread and gave it to Judas, son of Simon Iscariot. Simon Peter said, "Rabbi, where are you going?" Jesus replied, "Where I am going, you cannot follow me now, though you will follow me later." "Rabbi," Peter said, "why can't I follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." "Lay down your life for me?" explained Jesus. "The truth of the matter is, before the cock crows, you will have disowned me 3 times.
Who was the guilty who brought this upon me? Alas, my dream
Early in the morning in the United States, on February 27th, President Trump gives the order to proceed with Operation Epic Fury, involving missile attacks on Iran from the US and Israel. By the next day, attacks had increased in earnest, and Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was dead. Early attacks include 2 subsequent bombs that hit a girls' school in Iran, killing at least 165 girls. Later research and military reporting indicates that the missiles that hit the school were American-made. March 1st, 2026. A drone attack in Kuwait kills 6 U.S. service members, including 39-year-old mother of 2, Nicole Amor of White Bear Lake. Early March, 2026. As the attacks continue on Iran's oil refineries, the sky in Tehran turns black, making the air unsafe for citizens to breathe and keeping them inside their homes. Khomeini's son, Mojtaba Hosseini Khamenei, assumes his father's role as supreme leader in Iran, making it unlikely that any changes will be made to support the greater freedoms for people in Iran, especially women. Attacks continue on Arab Gulf countries. Most European countries decline to participate in the war. Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz, sending international oil prices spiking and cutting off supply of necessary goods, including nitrogen-based fertilizer needed by farmers in the Northern Hemisphere. Mid-March 2026. More U.S. service members are killed after a refueling aircraft crash in Iraq, bringing the total U.S. military dead to 13 people, including 1 military member who died in an attack on an airbase in Saudi Arabia. As of mid-March, more than 200 American soldiers have been wounded as a part of this operation, more than 60 of them seriously wounded. As the war continued into its 3rd week, estimates indicated that at least 2,000 people had been killed across the Middle East, including more than 1,300 Iranians, many of them civilians. March 29th, 2026, NPR News. Rome. Pope Leo XIV on Sunday rejected claims that God justifies war and prayed especially for Christians in the Middle East during a Palm Sunday Mass before tens of thousands of people in St. Peter's Square. With the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran entering its 2nd month and Russia's ongoing campaign in Ukraine, Pope Leo dedicated his Palm Sunday homily to insist that God is the King of peace who rejects violence and comforts those who are oppressed. Leo said that during Holy Week, Christians cannot forget how many people around the world are suffering as Christ did. Their trials appeal to the conscience of all. Let us raise our prayers to the Prince of Peace so that he may support people wounded by war and open concrete paths of reconciliation and peace.
The End and the Beginning by Wisława Szymborska. After every war, someone has to clean up. Things won't straighten themselves up after all. Someone has to push the rubble to the side of the road so the corpse-filled wagons can pass. Someone has to get mired in scum and ashes, sofa springs, splintered glass, and bloody rags. Someone has to drag a girder to prop up a wall. Someone has to glaze a window, rehang a door. Photogenic, it's not, and it takes years. All the cameras have left for another war. We'll need the bridges back and new railway stations. Sleeves will go ragged from rolling them up. Someone, broom in hand, still recalls the way it was. Someone else listens and nods with unsevered head. But already there are those nearby starting to mill about who will find it dull. From out of the bushes, sometimes someone still unearths rusted out arguments and carries them to the garbage pile. Those who knew what was going on here must make way for those who know little, and less than little, and finally, as little as nothing. In the grass that has overgrown causes and effects, someone must be stretched out, blade of grass in his mouth, gazing at the clouds.
Into our human pain, Jesus comes with a wondrous kind of love. In human skin, Jesus suffered. He grieved, he was betrayed, and he died. In Jesus' experience of human suffering, pain, and death, he shows us the depth of God's wondrous love.
Wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul. What wondrous love is this, O my soul. What wondrous love is this that caused the one of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, to bear the dreadful curse for my soul.
A story of death. So they took Jesus, carrying his own cross, to what is called the place of the skull in Hebrew, Golgotha. There they crucified him along with two others, one on either side of Jesus. Pilate wrote a notice and put it on the cross. It read, "Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews." The notice, in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin, was read by many people because the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city. The chief priests said to Pilate, "Don't write King of the Jews," but this one said, "I am the King of the Jews."
O sacred head now wounded, with grief and shame
Starting in late November 2025, right-wing influencers and bloggers began spreading a narrative that fraud in Minnesota Health and Human Services departments. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm just making, I want to make sure, sorry. That fraud in Minnesota Health and Human Services departments, including daycares, was being led by Somali Minnesotans with money transferred to terror organizations in Somalia. None of this information had basis in truth. But on November 21st, the temporary protected status for Somalians in Minnesota was revoked, and less than 2 weeks later, the New York Times reported a planned surge of federal immigration agents into Minnesota called Metro Surge, and allegedly targeted Somali immigrants. Early December 2025, first reports of immigration agents detaining U.S. citizens surfaced in Minnesota, including a Somali Minnesotan and a white Minnesotan who is confronting ICE agents. Carmel Mall reports businesses suffering due to Somali Minnesotans being afraid to leave their homes. Early January 2026, an additional at least 2,000 federal agents are deployed to Minnesota for immigration enforcement. January 7th, 2026. ICE agent Jonathan Ross kills Minnesota mother of 3, Renee Nicole Good, in South Minneapolis. As she and her wife were observing ICE agents through their car, Ross fired at point-blank range 3 shots into Good's car. Later research would indicate that Good was attempting to drive away from Ross and the scene. Good's last words were, "That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you." January 7th, 2026. Hours after Good's murder, ICE agents descend on Roosevelt High School shortly after dismissal there. While they claim they were in the area for a legitimate car chase, the agents soon physically assault teachers, parents, and teenage students at Roosevelt while detaining a well-loved educator there. January 8th, 2026. The Department of Justice blocks Minnesota investigators from investigation into Good's killing. January 9th, 2026. Members of Congress are denied access to Whipple Building, where detainees are being held, reportedly without access to appropriate food or medical care, or access to legal representation and spiritual care. January 14th, 2026. ICE agent shoots Julia Sosa Celis in the leg in South Minneapolis after a car chase involving Sosa Celis' roommate. ICE agents initially claimed that they were attacked by Sosa Celis and other immigrants. These claims were later retracted in court and charges were dropped. January 15th, 2026, Victor Emmanuel Diaz, a 36-year-old Nicaraguan man who was detained in Coon Rapids, dies in ICE custody at a detention center in El Paso, Texas. His family disputes ISIS claims that Diaz died by suicide. January 24th, 2026, hours after a general strike and large-scale protests against ICE across Minnesota, ICE agents assault and then shoot and kill observer Alex Preddy, who worked as an ICU nurse at the Minneapolis Veterans Hospital. Like Good, Preddy was 36 years old. His last words were spoken to sorry, I can't. A fellow observer, a woman. He said, "Are you okay?" March 27th, 2026, NPR News. Immigration enforcement, has a much less visible presence. But Mira Altabel Resendez, an organizer with Minnesota Immigrants' Rights Action Committee, MIRAC, says immigrants in Minnesota are still being arrested, detained for substantial amounts of time and deported. It's really unsettling to have a bit more time to breathe, but also feel very on edge, knowing that things are still going on. Altabel Resendez said, "We just aren't seeing them as much." Operation Metro Surge brought about 4,000 federal agents to Minnesota between December and mid-February, according to U.S. Department of Homeland Security. That led to regular scenes across the Twin Cities of agents using force or chemical munitions against arrestees or constitutional observers. 2 Minnesotans were also shot to death by federal agents, and another was wounded. The government estimates that about 4,000 people were arrested during the federal surge in the state.
Poem, Metro Surge, by Rachel Keefe. Overnight, the familiar streets became a war zone. Neighbors targeted, protesters abducted, people missing, others hiding. Smoke filled the air for miles and miles. Tear gas and green gas and mystery gas, released in displays of power, of aggression. We have whistles and signal chat. They have gases and guns with live rounds. We die. They swarm like fire ants, leaving death and destruction in their wake. We watch while they bang on doors, guns out. We wait while they regroup and abduct children. We wonder if we can endure. We organize care for the vulnerable. In the midst of it all, death, destruction, devastation, fear prevails. Or does it? We rally, we protest. Clergy answer a nationwide call, the first in decades. We care for our neighbors, provide protection, food, shelter, a bit of hope. It's like Good Friday, when love died and grief entered in, and despair blanketed all who bore witness. And all the while, the promise of new life lingers in the air, mixes with all the gases, maybe even wins out. When we breathe deeper, trust that love will rise through all, to redeem, to strengthen, to heal, to remind us we are one with all our neighbors.
Into our human pain, Jesus comes with a wondrous kind of love. In human skin, Jesus suffered. He grieved. He was betrayed. And he died. In Jesus' experience of human suffering, pain, and death,
He shows us the depth of God's wondrous love. What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that caused the one of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul,
John 19. After this, Joseph of Arimathea, a disciple of Jesus, but a secret one, for fear of the temple authorities, asked Pilate for permission to remove the body of Jesus, and Pilate granted it. So Joseph came and took it away. Nicodemus came as well, the same one who had first come to Jesus by night, and he brought about 100 pounds of spices, a mixture of myrrh and aloes. They took the body of Jesus and wrapped it with the spices in linen cloths, according to the Jewish burial custom. There was a garden in the place where Jesus had been crucified, and in the garden was a new tomb where no one had ever been buried. Since it was the day before the Sabbath, and the tomb was nearby, they buried Jesus there.
We cannot measure how you heal or answer every sufferer's prayer, yet we believe your grace responds where faith and doubt unite to care. Your hands, though bloodied on the cross, survive to hold and heal and hold, to carry all through death to life and cradle children yet unborn. The pain that will not go away, the guilt that clings from things long past, the fear of what the future holds, the present as if meant to last. The answer to His love which tends the hurt we never hope to find, the private agonies inside, the memories that haunt the mind. So some have come who need your help, and some have come to make amends, as hands which shaped and saved the world are present in the touch of friends. Lord, let your Spirit meet us here to mend the body, mind, and soul, to disentangle peace from pain, and make your broken people whole.
Headline: Acts of Service. Throughout the last year, we have continued to see people showing up for people. We've seen neighbors protecting neighbors, a generosity of time and financial resources, and a commitment to nonviolence that has inspired the world. Someone said, "I've never been so devastated and so proud at the same time." In this year of great struggle, we have seen thousands of small acts of sacrificial love rising above it all to give us hope once again. January 23rd, 2026. In dangerously low temperatures, tens of thousands of people marched for ICE Out in downtown Minneapolis. Earlier that morning, clergy staged an airport protest and were arrested outside the MSP airport in an action meant to highlight the airport's role in deportation flights. When ICE agents began to throw water on peaceful protesters at the Whipple Federal Building in sub-zero temperature, Living Table UCC member Sandy Saline came to New Branches to get hundreds of plastic bags for protesters to use as ponchos so that they could stay present at the scene. February 1st, 2026, The Guardian. At Whipple, the federal building where ICE had set up shop, Natalie Arrett sits in a minivan, a near constant presence with her newly started group, Haven Watch, for the last few weeks, ready to give a coat, a phone, and a friendly face to those released from detention, which includes protesters and immigrants. She and her sons had gone to the building, and her son found two people outside in the cold without coats being released. When someone is released, a volunteer with Haven Watch wearing a brightly colored vest will meet them at the gate, take them to a warm vehicle, talk to them about what they went through, and give them what they need to get back home. February 24th, 2026, KARE 11 News, Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a Tuesday at Iglesia Dios Habla Hoy Church in South Minneapolis, and volunteers are stationed outside ready to take donations. I would never believe you if you were to tell me last year you're going to be distributing over 1 million pounds of food in 2 months, Pastor Sergio Amezcua said. We have helped so far over 152,000 people since we started doing this, Amezcua said, with food, diapers, formula, hygiene. We have helped over 100 families now with rental assistance as well. Amezcua said they're still distributing more than 150,000 pounds of food per week to families in hiding. About 5,000 volunteers still show up at least once a week. People can say they love God, but if they don't love their neighbor, I don't think they're loving God, Amezcua said. When you love your neighbor, you're right in the right path, and I think that keeps me going. March 15th, the New York Times. Thomas Friedman interviewed former Minneapolis City Council member Don Samuels, who said that many everyday middle-class white Minnesotans turned out to share risk and leadership of the resistance with their brown and black neighbors. As the whole rainbow of Minnesotans watched their Hispanic, Hmong, and Somali neighbors, some of them their local shopkeepers, small business owners, carpenters, or cooks, being violently pulled out of homes, restaurants, and construction sites, Samuel noted the popular reaction was, "I can't believe this is happening in America. They killed Renee Good and Alex Preddy in cold blood." This was Minnesota standing up, not just being nice, but being good and courageous and unified, said Samuels. Something was born in this crisis that could never have been born on a good day. Otherness has been replaced with kinship between brown, black, and white Minneapolitans.
Poem, For When We Greet Each Other, by Rosemary Walta Tromer. I want a new ritual for when we meet each other, strangers or beloveds, friends or rivals, elders or children. It begins with holding each other's eyes the way we behold sunrises or the first cherry blooms, which is to say, we assume we'll find beauty there. And perhaps some display of open hands, a gesture with palms up that suggests both, I offer myself to you and I receive you. There should be a quiet moment in which we hear each other breathe, knowing it's the sound of the ocean inside us. If there are words at all, let them be formed mostly of vowels, so they're heard more as song than as spitting, more like river current and less like throwing stones. Words that mean something like, I do not know what you carry, but in this moment I will help you carry it, or something like, everything depends on us treating each other well. And if we said it enough, perhaps we'd believe it. And if we believe it enough, perhaps we'd live it, treating every other human like someone who holds our very existence in their hands, like someone whose life has been given us to serve, even if it's only to walk safely down the street, hold a door, pass the salt, share a sunset, offer a smile, and say with our actions, you belong.
Into our human pain, Jesus comes with a wondrous kind of love. In human skin, Jesus suffered, he grieved, he was betrayed, and he died. In Jesus' experience of human suffering, pain, and death, he shows us the depth of God's wondrous love.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this that calls the one of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, to bear the dreadful curse for my soul.
A story of grace. Now we know all is grace, all is gift. You give us all good things, life and love, daily bread and water that quenches our thirst, friends and faith. Most of all, in your Son, Jesus, you meet us with a love that will never let us go. You utter words of mercy and forgiveness that override the hurts and heal our brokenness. You offer new beginnings where we had expected only dead ends. We give you thanks and praise for the mystery of your suffering love that gives us life. We give you thanks and praise that you know our weakness and hear our prayers. We give you thanks and praise that all our dying and living is held in your good keeping. Now we know all is grace, all is gift. We give you thanks and praise. Amen.
Were you there when they nailed Christ to the tree? Were you there when they nailed Christ to the tree? Sometimes I feel like shouting.